Hi everyone, I'm Karen Robinson from littlepaperparty.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Australia, and today I have the 10th project in this year's 12 Weeks of Halloween series to share with you, which is this long skinny box, and inside it holds one of these delicious Lindor bars. Actually, I don't know what they're called, but these Lindor chocolates, the long skinny ones. And yeah, these are really nice. So I designed this box specifically for this particular chocolate, but you could fit lots of other things in there as well. Lots of smaller things or something else that's long and skinny, but I know that these are readily available all over the place, all over the world. You can find them in most countries, so I think that they would be a perfect, bit more of an adult kind of grown-up treat. So I'm just popping the ribbon back on. There we go. And let's get started making this. Oh, just before we do, the finished size of this is 7 5/8 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch high. So I forgot to measure it this way. So that might give you a bit of an idea of some other things that you could put in there, but kind of lots of little small skinny things would fit in here perfectly. Okay, so to start off with, before I've got 2 pieces of cardstock for the base. I'm making that out of basic black, and it measures 9 by 2.5 inches. And for the lid, and I'm using pumpkin pie cardstock simply because it coordinates with the colors of the packaging of the chocolate, and it's a good Halloween color. And this measures 8 9/16 by 2 1/16, and you do need just that little bit extra. You do need that 16th so that it fits nicely on the top over the base and it's not too tight. So I know some people struggle with adding those 16ths on, but it's literally just the mark past the 2 and the first mark past the 8 and 8.5. All right, but before we start scoring, I just need to add a little bit of decoration to my top piece. I tried it plain and it just didn't look really good. So for the background, I'm going to add this image from Geared Up Garage. I've been using this a lot lately. It's one of the few kind of background stamps I seem to have, this oil stain. And I'm also going to be adding a few spiders from the Celebration Tidings. But we'll do the oil stain first. I'm going to be using grey granite ink, and I'm going to be stamping off because yeah, it was too dark. So I just ink it up, stamp off, and then I'm going to, actually, I'm going to put it on here as well. And I'm just going to randomly stamp all over this piece, just to add a little bit of interest, texture to the background, and I like how it turned out. Rotate your stamp around if you want to, it doesn't really matter. This is very subtle. And that is, oops, nearly did it, didn't I? Right at the end. There we go. But pretty much any stamp that you had, any kind of background grungy kind of stamp would work perfectly for this as well. But I happen to have this one and I really like it. So I'm just going to add a few spiders with Memento black ink. I kind of thought about covering it completely in spiders. I'm just making sure I haven't got anything on my stamp. Maybe not. But it seemed to be too many. So obviously there's going to be sides. You're not going to see those too much. And I did want a few really in the center that were going to show once it was all cut and folded. So I'm kind of concentrating on putting a few there. Whoopsie daisy, nearly stamped that funny. And once again, I'm changing the direction so that it just looks a bit, like they're crawling all over the top. I like the look of it. Not if they were real spiders, of course. That would actually scare the jeepers out of me. Okay. seem to have too many legs. Okay, that was interesting. And I might just have one more up here. Don't do a lot of stamping. I can do really simple stamping, so yeah, I'm kind of not used to doing that on camera. All right, so that's everything for the stamping. That's all the stamping that we're doing on the background. So we're going to score and put together the lid first so it can have a little bit of time to dry, and then we'll come back and we'll do the base. The scoring is very, very simple for both the top and the bottom. For the lid, you're just going to score it at 1/2 inch on all 4 sides. And I'm using the Simply Scored as I usually do, and I do like it because it's got this corner and I can just push it in there, and I know that my score lines are going to be straight, everything's going to be straight and hopefully line up beautifully. So I'm going to trim this before I burnish, so I'm just trimming up on the long sides. Well, actually I'm trimming the short sides, aren't I? Oops, can't speak today. Cutting up these, keeping the middle bit straight, and then I'm just wedging in the tabs. Then I'm going to grab my bone folder and fold and burnish all my score lines. So these are quite long. The edges of this are quite long, so just be a little bit careful when you fold them for the first time, that they don't, kind of fold whether you don't want them to. Because they're kind of long and skinny, they do have a bit of a tendency to want to do that. Now you can use whatever adhesive you prefer for this. So the only places we're adding adhesive is to the tabs here, these 4 tabs. I'm going to use Tombow. It's quick and easy and it's nice and secure. And I'm going to use a few little pegs just to hold it in place till it completely dries. So I'm just adding a little bit to my tabs, folding them in, lining up the edges as best I can. I'm just going to hold it for a second. I'm going to pop a little peg on. Do the other side. The second one's always a bit easier, so it seems. I'm just holding it for just a couple of seconds. Stick. And then doing the other end. If you don't have little pegs, any kind of clips would work, probably even paper clips. And you don't have to do this, it's just, this means that everything's lined up where I want it to be, and I can just kind of pop this aside to dry, and it's not going to take very long to dry at all. Okay, so we'll bring back in the base and the Simply Scored, so while the lid is drying. And this is, once again, it is 9 by 2.5 inches, and this one we're going to score at 3/4 of an inch on all 4 sides. So I do like this too, it's just one measurement, just all the way around. And we're going to make the base exactly the same way as we did the lid. So I am going to trim before I fold and burnish. It doesn't matter if you decide to fold and burnish it first, whatever you prefer. I'm just cutting up to the first score line on the short sides, and I'm just taking a little wedge out of the tabs. This is a really simple box, but I was really pleased with how it turned out. So, I mean, sometimes that's the way, isn't it? The simple things, something that's quite a simple design is what you like the most. You think, I really like how that turned out. So I was very pleased with how this turned out. All right, I'm just going to bring this back, take off my pegs, and I'm going to put this together exactly the same way, just using some Tombow on the tabs. You could use tear and tape, other dry glues, dry adhesives, dry glues, you know what I mean, that you have. Just trying to get the sides square, so my edges square. Oops, a little bit too much glue on there. Pop on a peg. So I did put, you can see I've got a little bit of seepage there, and I did put a little bit too much on. So on the base, the tabs are actually going to overlap a little bit, which is fine, but does add more to the thickness of the base, which is one reason why you just need to add just that little bit extra onto the lid to get a good fit. I do find with Tombow, a little really goes a long way. So I know I've kind of got these edges here where it could be trimmed a bit better, but they will be fine. They didn't seem to matter with putting it together and the lid going on and sitting nicely. All right, so I'm just going to pop that aside to dry. So for the tag, I've already pre-made the tag to save time, and I used a sentiment from A Wish for Everything. I used wishing you a trick-or-treating, candy-eating, frightful, delightful time. That's a mouthful, isn't it? This is a two-piece set, so it comes with lots of different sentiments for lots of different occasions. And I heat embossed this in silver to go with the mesh ribbon that I decided to tie up my box with. So I heat embossed it in silver, and then I die cut it with one of the dies from the Ornate Frames dies, which are in the annual catalogue. And yep, and then I just punched a hole with a hole punch. So I'll bring back our box. So hopefully this is stuck enough to stay together. Take off the pegs, grab my yummy and pop it in there. So the sides do want to flare out a bit on this, and that's simply because it's a long, narrow box, and it's just going to do that. Now, the moment of truth. Let's see if my lid fits on. Oh, and it does. Oh, look, it's beautiful. Okay, so that fits beautifully. But yeah, it does flare out a little bit, but it's just simply because it's a long, skinny box, and it's going to do that unless, you know, you kind of make a double layer here and really reinforce that. But the simplest way is to tie something around it, and then you won't even notice. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm using the metallic mesh ribbon again. Love this ribbon. I'm using this so much. I'm going to be using it on my Christmas things as well. And I want a nice kind of big floofy bow. I'm not sure if floofy is a word, but it is now. So it does have a bit of stretch, this ribbon, which is fine. Oops, I just realised I put it on the wrong way. Oh well, cut a bit off. So I'm going to thread my tag onto it. Let's see if I can do this on camera. Oh yes, that worked. I'm going to pop my tag on and tie it on with the bow. And let's tie a nice big fluffy bow. So I kind of thought of this as a bit more of a grown-up treat. I don't know why. There's no reason why this particular chocolate has to be grown-up, but I don't know. That's what struck me, as this was a little bit more of a little bit more sophisticated. If one can have a sophisticated treat holder, I'm not quite sure. Yeah, just grab a big pair of scissors and trim off the ends. Oops, that will do. Okay, and there we go. It's all ready to go. These are really, really simple to make, quick and easy. Yeah, and you could definitely make these in bulk, and I buy these chocolates when they're on special. They're not expensive, so, but I don't know, they just strike me as being a little bit more luxurious than some other ones. Well, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you next week with number 11. Bye.